This, this has been a long time coming. And this is featuring a brand new CPU, the MediaTek Helio G90T. Or is it? Because what I got was this. That's right. The MediaTek MT8185V. Not the G90T that we were all promised. Or is it essentially the same? Did Ayaneo make a boo-boo here? Well, we're going to unbox and take a look at this and give our initial impressions and explore the confusion between the MediaTek G90T we were supposed to get and the MediaTek MT8185V that we did get. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode of our content. But let's dive in and take a look at this long-awaited product that finally arrived after months from my Indiegogo purchase. Ah, nostalgia, reminiscing, remembering the things from one's youth, things that are now gone, things that old Fred intends to bring back, something like Toys R Us.
Are you kids ready for Christmas? Come to Fred's R Us where you can be a kid.
I knew you would rescue my childhood.
I'm a Fred's Russ kid.
So come on down and meet Freddy the Ostrich, where you can get the best deals on... No, wait, that's not real. I don't own a toy store, and I do miss Toys R Us, although I heard they're kind of coming back. Hey, Deadheads, welcome to the channel. Or welcome to the channel for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're going to take a look at... All right, so as always, let's dive in here. And the box is a nice typical box. Ayaneo always does really good with their boxes. It does have a picture of the unit on the front here. It is flat matte. It's not like raised or anything, which for a budget handheld is to be expected. Around the sides, we don't have much here, just the Ayaneo logo and Ayaneo Pocket Air Mini. And then on the bottom, we just have a little bit of information as usual, plus we have their normal sticker. And this is where things got confusing because we were all expecting a Helio G90T, and we get the MediaTek MT8185V. Now, I don't know if there was some change announced. I've went through and tried to find evidence of that. Please leave me a comment if you see evidence of that. But I cannot see anywhere where they said that it switched or changed it from the original G90T. So, kind of interesting here. But let's get this open out of the box. And, oh, that satisfying sound. We got the handheld here. We'll move it out of the way real quick. And below, we do have a user guide instead of a manual. I guess saving on cost. This makes sense. I think more of them should do this. We don't need to have a manual in here. And if they can save some money, especially since this is Android handheld, and they can probably just look at it on the Android itself. And then we do have a USB cord. Below that, there is one other thing. There's an extra set of button toppers here. So this is a different size. They look a little smaller possibly, so not sure. But not much else in there. No screen protector, which is kind of a bummer. But again, trying to hit that budget point, I understand. And you can always add screen protectors. And sometimes the ones that come with them, like with the Odin 3, are not great anyways. Made great, but they don't always go on great. So anyways, let's get all that put back in there. And let's get the handheld out because I'm super excited to take a look at this. I have always enjoyed Ayaneo content, Ayaneo hardware, but of course there's always been the issues. But let's get this out of the box and take a first look at it. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to share with you today something that was sent over to us from the fine folks at Fifine. Now, many of you may have heard of Fifine. They make lots of great equipment, including the microphone I use here to record all of my wonderful videos. But they did send over an awesome headset that I wanted to take a look at, the H13. This is a headset that is styled for battle, powered by sound, as they say. It comes with awesome noise canceling, a 7.1 surround sound, 50 millimeter dynamic driver, volume control, and 4 EQ modes. As you can see here, I did some testing on it and used it on the Save State podcast, and I found it to have super clear, really good sound quality as well as microphone quality, which does not surprise me since they're known for that function. This is a beautiful headset that was comfortable to wear and has a lot of nice little effects like RGB with a smiley face on the side there. It comes at a really great price for all the features you get, including that awesome ability to do an equalizer with things like clear vocal, powerful bass, or dynamic enhancement. Hit the link below to check this out if you want to pick one up yourself. We want to thank Fifine for sending this over for us to take a look at it. We're really impressed with it. Again, the H13 is a great headset for all of your gaming and retro needs. It is a traditional headset with a wire. It's not wireless, but man, it is really great and sounds awesome on all your little retro doodads. Anyways, back to the show. Now that we have it out of the box, I do see that there is a screen protector. They have pre-applied a screen protector. So that's actually smart, and I like that quite a bit. It does say this sticker helps to remove the mask from the screen guard. Please peel off the mask with this sticker. So we'll do that. Take it off. Oh, so satisfying. And holding this immediately, it feels really good quality, but it also feels less than the quality I'm used to with Ayaneo products. You know that we've reviewed just about every Android-based Ayaneo product here on the channel, minus the Evo, but I can tell that they definitely use different materials. Now, that's not a bad thing because at this price point, this feels fantastic. It feels really good to hold. And I did go for the retro colorway because I like this sort of greenish sort of look that they have on here with the red. Normally, the retro power colorway is sort of gatekeeped away at a higher price, but for this one, you can get it. But let's start with the normal buttons, and the buttons feel nice. They are similar to the Pocket Air buttons. Now, my favorite buttons from Ayaneo are the ones they use on the Pocket S line and the upcoming Pocket Vert. But I do like these buttons. They are independent and they're miles ahead of most other products at the $90 range that this thing is going for. So yeah, this does feel really nice. They're a little on the small side, so if you don't like smaller buttons, you might want to know about that. Moving over to the D-pad, and the D-pad feels good. Again, it feels different. It's not as premium as some of the other Ayaneo products have been, but it is not a bad D-pad. I do like it. It feels good. And then we have these sticks, and my favorite thing about this is that they're in the bottom alignment for retro, which I think is very appropriate for the G90T or whatever this ends up being since it's labeled different. But these sticks are nice. They do have the stick caps that can come off. Again, we've been given another set, which looks to me to be the exact same size. So I guess they're just an extra set. Don't really understand what that's about if they're not going to put a different size in there. But they feel really good as usual. These are the kind of sticks that I really enjoy. And because of the smaller size of the Mini here, it is a little bit, for my hands, challenging to get the sticks on there. They don't go in there quite as smooth and easy as some of the other products. Again, that's just because this is a smaller configuration. But once they're on there, they are nice. They feel good, got a good range. Now, of course, I'm going to put my Thor portal caps on here and see how they work. And of course, you can hit the link to get these off AliExpress. These are my preferred favorite stick caps. And yes, they do fit and they feel fantastic. And I would highly recommend investing in these because now it is even better. I feel like I have better range of motion than with these smaller sticks. And yes, just like with the Conquer, this makes this immediately just that much better for about $10 for a set of 3 of these. Now, the other buttons, we have our typical Ayaneo button, which has that great software. And then we have our home and back button and then a function button. Moving up to the shoulder buttons. And yeah, these are good shoulder buttons. Wow, this feels really good. I'm really impressed with the build quality of this. Again, despite the fact that it's not at the same level of other Ayaneo products. But this is nice. They really need to compete in this area a lot more often. And yes, we even have the extra buttons. I forget what they call them. They're not labeled here. They just have 3 hamburger dots, but those are there as well. We do have a vent on the top along with our volume rocker and our power button. We don't have anything on the sides. And then on the bottom, we do have our micro SD card slot along with a headphone jack. And then we have a SD card slot along with 2 bottom firing speakers. So as we boot this thing up, we'll take a look at the software here, which I expect to be pretty great. But let's dive in and take a look at this. Okay, so turning it on, we're greeted with a very familiar Android setup that we've come to see from Ayaneo over the years. And so the setup process is pretty straightforward. If this is your first Android-based handheld, you basically connect it to your Wi-Fi and then you let it go through all the steps. It's pretty straightforward, not too intense for newcomers, but it is a good system to get going. You can start from scratch, or if you have a backup like I do from another device, you can actually import all that information. Going through the process here, we can see that it asks you a few questions and then it gets everything going. Now, out of the box, mine has 30% of battery left. So I'm going to get this thing a little bit charged up, see how quickly it charges up. Hopefully it's fast charging. And then we'll start taking this through the paces and kind of doing it. But the initial look of it has that familiar Ayaneo space that we're used to with that awesome button setup that has a lot of ability to do things on here. But let me get this thing a little charged up and we'll do some more testing. Okay, so I got it charged up and set up, and it's Android 11 out of the box. And the first thing I tried to do was see if it had an update, but it was up to date out of the box. So that's nice to know there hasn't been an update, although hopefully there will be more updates, and Ayaneo is usually great about that. Again, one of my favorite things about Ayaneo, and this coming to the first under $100 handheld, is this Android ecosystem and their Ayaneo software. When you hit the big Ayaneo button, it brings up a window on the side, a window that gives you a lot of opportunity to change things. You can do the performance mode right there, which has Eco, Balance, Gaming, and Max. You can adjust the fan on it. You can turn the performance overlay on or off. You can adjust the controller settings, the device settings, including brightness, the volume. You can turn on Bluetooth RGB effects, which are off by default. And then you can toggle different things on here and go into the settings. So the ecosystem has been worked on for quite a while. I'm very impressed with Ayaneo software, and to see it on a budget handheld like this is really great and amazing. But let's get into some testing here because, like I said, originally there was some question about the name of the CPU, GPU, and whether it's exactly the same. So I'm going to run some wildlife extreme test here and see if we get numbers that are actually what we're expecting. Okay, so let's start with CPU-Z. Again, there's been some question as to whether this is the MediaTek Helio G90T, and CPU-Z reports it as the MediaTek Helio G90 without the T. It does say the model is MT6785, which is pretty interesting, but we do show it's a 12 nanometer with 2 Cortex A76s and 6 Cortex A55s, which lines up with what our expectations would be for the G90. It also has a Mali G76, and it looks like our CPUs are running somewhere between 500 to 2000 megahertz. So I do have this on a balanced setting right now. The device does report it as to be a 4.13 inch screen, 1280 by 960, so 4.2 inches. Essentially, we do get a 387 DPI, which is pretty nice for this size screen. It does report 3 megs of RAM, which is 3 gigs of RAM, which is what I ordered here with the internal storage. So everything's lining up. I don't really understand what happened with the marketing, why it was marketed as a G90, and yet on the box it says a whole different name. I know that this is probably a MediaTek thing and not an Ayaneo thing, but it really would have been helpful if they'd had this clear. But to be clear here, this is performing as expected with the sort of results we're expecting. So I'm going to show you here the results I got from Wild Alpha Extreme, and I did look online and somebody had found that there was a tablet, a Lenovo tablet with the same CPU, the real G90, labeled that way, and you're getting similar results. So there's no controversy here. We're getting the chip we paid for. They just didn't market it very correctly. Okay, so we do have the results we expected. So now what everyone wants to know is, can this play PS2? Now, being that this is a MediaTek, and we're very familiar with the Helio G99, a CPU, GPU that is set above this, and we know the limitations of PS2 on that handheld, my expectations for this were not super high. I know a lot of people are going to compare this to the Mangmi Air X, and I will be doing a video in the future between the two of those. But in playing PS2, I got the results I sort of expected. It'll play, or at least load, most of the games at 1x, although you're going to get varying results. Something that played like Jak And Daxter, I could get the first one to play somewhat decently using Nether at 1x, but once I moved over to something like Soul Calibur 2, I did not get the result. It had a lot of slowdown and did not play as well as I anticipated or would have liked it to. Now, the other thing is Gamecube, and playing Soul Calibur 2 on Gamecube was beautiful, even at 1.5x. So it's really amazing because the CPU and GPU seems to play, and maybe it's the development of the emulator, seems to play Gamecube really good, and PS2 not so great. Now, where this thing really shines is in Nintendo 64, Dreamcast. You're going to get beautiful, on this 4:3 aspect ratio screen, a beautiful setup. And it's going to play those games excellent. I found myself enjoying playing this on GameCube, on N64, on Dreamcast, but PS2 is just a little bit lacking. So I have to say PS2 is somewhat of a bonus, and it's kind of really at 1x. There may be a few lightweight games you can push beyond that, but really you're kind of stuck with that. So let's wrap up this unboxing and first look and talk about my overall thoughts on this and whether I think that this has been a worthy endeavor. Okay, so my overall summary of this is Ayaneo has yet again shipped a product that is great. It feels nice in the hands. It's a nice solid feel to it. The build quality is nice with a texture of the plastic that feels premium for the budget line. Not quite the normal Ayaneo line, but still way better than most things overall. It has a beautiful screen, the 4.2 inch screen with the high resolution 960p, which is beautiful and gorgeous. It has a MediaTek chip that is not the way they marketed it, but it performs it the way we expected. It's essentially the same chip, missing some 4G connectivity. which really doesn't affect its performance. It doesn't get hot. The fan can be a little bit on the loud side when you're running in the max mode, and it can play everything really, really good up through Gamecube. And even Gamecube is impressive on this GPU CPU. PS2, I would consider a bonus system. Yes, it can run most things at 1x, but it is not going to do better than what we saw with the Pocket Micro, which has the G99. That's going to actually play better and play Wii and some systems above that. I really like this. This is the first under $100 handheld that I really feel like is giving you more for your money. And I wonder if this is a loss leader for Ayaneo, because it certainly seems so. If you can't get your hands on one of these through Indiegogo, over at Acneus, they are selling these. People are getting them. I'll leave a link down there in the bottom. There are ways to get a hold of these. They're producing these. I think they'll be easier to get as time goes on, but I think that this is going to be a highly recommended starter handheld. It certainly is from Dead Fred for now. We'll do our full comparison with the Conquer. Listen to me. With the Mamie Air X, which is another fantastic, and really they're two different. This is PSP with the widescreen, and this is that 4:3 screen, which is perfect for, GameCube and Dreamcast and N64. So it's really a place for both of them, really. But we'll do the showdown on that. Let me know what you think about it. I like the way this feels. It feels so nice. The colors are nice. I'm glad they didn't give an extra charge for the retro power color. It's really nice. That's what I think. Leave me a comment. Remember to hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones, because tomorrow is never promised. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.